Welcome back to Unranked Podcast. You have Elijah here alongside Grant. We're going to get into, NBA a little bit this week, as well as we're going to touch on a big local game this week. That's Michigan versus Michigan State. I think we're going to kick off with that first. Just kind of want to, throw it over to you. Not going to say too much on it myself. To start off, just kind of what's your initial thoughts on Michigan State that's coming up Saturday?
Yeah, it's a huge game. This is probably the highest we've seen them play each other, like while being ranked like this high in quite a while. I mean, they had a couple when they were both in the teens a couple years back. But I mean, this is, like I said, we said it a couple different times already on here. This is where this real season starts, in my opinion. This is probably it's probably the biggest. I think it is the biggest. I mean, obviously, they always want them to beat Ohio. I mean, that's definitely the goal, but that's something they haven't been able to do a lot lately. But I think they got to get this one for sure. I feel like this is one of them games where, this might be the biggest game of Harbaugh's career. Team looks good. MSU looks pretty good as well. I think it's going to be one of them old school, just physical game, one in the trenches. It might be one of the best games of the year as well. So I think it's definitely going to live up to the expectations that everybody thinks it will, and it's going to be a big weekend at East Lansing. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think it's going to be a huge weekend in East Lansing, a huge weekend for both teams. It could be a real chip for either one of the teams to put in their pocket, whether it's Michigan State and Mel Tucker being in his second season and, having a surprisingly great season. I would say you talk to a lot of State fans, you talk to a lot of people. They wouldn't have said that they thought they would be this good this early and have such a formidable team. And is alongside Michigan, I know a lot of both of us were kind of weary on how good we were going to be as well. Wasn't sure what the quarterback situation would look like. Wasn't sure what we had in the running backfield. I think there was a lot of question marks that both teams had going into the year, and were ultimately both sitting in a great spot. So this could be a game that both teams could really ride high on, catapult them into, college football playoff talk. That'd be a great victory for one of them. But I ultimately, I think it's going to come, like you said, it's going to come down to the trenches.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever can establish that run game, I would be willing to guarantee whoever has more rushing yards will probably ultimately win the game. And, I think both of us have great run games. Two-headed monster on our side, they have a great single tail back there as well. And I just think, it's going to come down to that. Who can make the plays there? And, that's really what I think the tail, what's going to come down to. So
yeah. And it's crazy, too, because, I've been thinking about how, between both teams, I think, Michigan State might want to hang their hat on beating Miami when they're, ranked, 21st in the country. But, they're 3-5 or something like that now. They haven't been playing all that great. Michigan's schedule hasn't been crazy. We thought that was, that Washington game might be pretty meaningful, but they had lost to Idaho the week before, and just they weren't really been that good this year. So I feel like this is going to be a true test of I feel like they're just right here, neck and neck. They both been doing a great job establishing the run. I think I'd probably give State the nod from a quarterback standpoint. Just as far as, probably a little bit better. They're probably better at that position. I also add, I think it's J.J. McCarthy time. Win or lose after this weekend, I do feel like it's going to be, if it ends up being a loss, I think it's going to be him for sure. But I think they're going to find a way to have him make some big plays this weekend. But, it's literally, to me, it's so even. Spread is has Michigan favored by a field goal. This is going to be real interesting to see what weaknesses get exposed and how. So I think they say MSU is their pass defense is pretty suspect, and then what's funny is that Michigan's weakness is the downfield passing game. So we'll see what each of those teams are able to cook up on their respective side of the ball to be able to stop the other one.
Yeah, I agree with you on it. It might be time to just unleash JJ. He seems very ready.
Very comfortable.
Yeah, I would say that. And I do think it's one of them high risk, high reward. I think McCarthy is sitting at, or Caden McNamara is sitting at somewhere around like 12 touchdowns, 1 pick, and and this other guy hasn't had any starts under his belt. So I do think it's high risk, high reward as far as he is more agile. He can run. He will take probably a better down the field passer. But ultimately, I think they're thinking our defense is so good. We have a solid run game. Let's just make sure the quarterback doesn't lose it for us.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I guess a game like this tells you if you're able to win big games like that. But when you play like that, all other facets of the game has to be rolling. Your defense has to step up and make plays and timely turnovers or timely 3-and-outs or whatever the case may be, forcing field goals in the red zone. All that type of stuff has to, where you have to hit your own long field goals and keep your defense off the field when they need a breather. And I think all that has to happen if you're going to play real conservative like we are or have been playing.
Yeah.
And so I don't want that to come back and bite us, because we do have a great team. And I think and I know you watch more college football than I watch, but I know you sit around and watch teams all around the country. They'll throw the ball 20, 30, 40 yards down the field a good 10 times a game. They probably are only hitting 20% of those. But those are big play highlights, and they're moving. It's paying off for the rest of the time.
Yeah, and that's like your athlete against their athlete. Like, you on offense, so you can, worst case scenario, obviously you don't want to throw a pick, but maybe be a punt in some situations, draw pass interference. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's just they do got to. And I know, like, losing Ronnie Bell, that didn't help at all. That would have probably that literally is why we have no downfield passing game, because he's gone. I do think some of these guys are starting to step up more, and they're starting to take more shots, trying to. But yeah, like, and that is more than necessary. I mean, like, you hit it on the head. You got guys, they're attempting, 20, 30-yard passes, 5-6 times and a half, to where Michigan's just kind of doing it, when they like feel that it's there, and that's after they ran the ball 8-9 times in a row. So big game though, for sure. You're gonna have to open it up. I much as I would love to play bully ball and run the ball down State's throat, I ultimately don't think that is always going to be the best case. I think you are going to have to open it up, step back, take them shots in the end zone, play action. Use the tight ends around the end zone with a play action. I think that would work much more than they're giving it credit for. And it really will come down to that. So from our standpoint. Yeah, we're gonna see, because I feel like I just have a feeling this will be one of them games where, like, that run game, I know both teams have a huge emphasis on making sure that, Kenneth Walker don't get off and that Haskins and Corum don't get off. Yeah. This could be a game where it's like, Cade McNamara, you got to come in there and really just got to be accurate, got to get rid of the ball. You know what I'm saying? Just really be like, I hope he's prepared. He might have to throw a little bit more than usual, just because of, I kind of see it being like one of them just stalemates in the trenches for a good period of time. Might break a run or two on each side, but it may end up coming down to the pass game.
Yeah, I agree, and it's a perfect Big Ten football game.
It is.
High noon kickoff is going to be crisp, late October. I think State still has a grass field. Probably one of the only damn teams in the country that has a grass field, but it's going to be a real old school Big Ten game. And excited. I'm excited. I think
a lot on the line. A lot on the line. I think this is hard. You think this is the biggest game of Harbaugh's career?
I do. I think that keeps coming up. I think we were. I was real hard on Harbaugh. I was kind of wanting to push him out. Last year, and he did revive and rejuvenate it, but a lot of that goes right out the window again if you don't win this game. And I think he understands that. I think a lot of the team understands that, and they do seem to be buying in harder than they have in the past. We do seem to be more just fired up and working as a unit.
Engaged. Yeah.
Yeah. So all that is very positive. But Hutchinson's gonna have to step up. Daxton Hill's gonna have to step up. obviously the quarterback, probably even JJ. You're gonna have to really you want to make a name for yourself. Let's come in and get loose in this game, and force the hand. Yeah,
please. It's coming.
Yeah.
If it don't happen this week or next week, I see him starting against Ohio. I don't know why. I just do. I just got a weird feeling. They don't trust Cade, and I mean, even when he has to throw, he hasn't always been the most accurate. And JJ just got that. He just had that star power about him. I can just see it. I mean, I think you said Cade got like 12 touchdowns and a pick.
Some very close to that, yeah.
I think Cade's probably played JJ's probably played like 15% of the snaps and got like 4 touchdowns. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like I ain't trying to get too excited, but I think he gonna, he's probably one of the QBs. I mean, I thought Milton had it, when he was at Michigan, but I think JJ, he's really got that arm talent, accurate, and I mean, he's looking like, he's a freshman. He don't even look like he is one when he's out there.
Yeah, and I completely misspoke. That was for a career. He's 5-1 this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Touchdown to intercept. Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah. McNamara has like 2 or 3 touchdowns. Yes, I mean that's.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I do see why
1,115 passing yards this season. 5-1.
I do see why Harbaugh, want to go with Cade, because Cade is the safe option. He knows how to, keep the ball, just not turn the ball over. JJ be doing some things that I saw like last week. That you see that 4th and 1 or 4th and 2 play when did all that running around through across his body.
Yes. No.
Yeah.
And I didn't know he could get loose. They just ran an option with him a few times. He was running. I was impressed.
Yeah. What's your score prediction?
It's a tough one here. Just real quick, JJ's 2-0 touchdowns to picks. Yeah. Fair enough. But yeah, no. So score prediction. I really think it's gonna be a tough one here. I'm gonna go like 27-24 Michigan.
I'm going like 23-19 Michigan. Yeah. I think points are going to be kind of tough to come by. And I could definitely see it it's going to come down to the wire.
Yeah.
It should.
Yeah, no. I'm excited for the game. We'll probably have some sort of boots on the ground. I might be there. So
yeah. Are you on Instagram Live?
Yeah. I'm gonna tap in.
Right. All right. Right on.
But we'll
yeah. But yeah, we're gonna make a little transition here. So our NBA about what, 3 weeks in, 2 weeks in.
Yeah. Yep.
So there's been some good ball. I watched a couple games here and there. I don't usually start to like really, really tune in till I say Christmas is kind of like when it's, because seeing a lot of teams right now kind of getting themselves figured out. But there's been some impressive performances thus far for sure. So yeah, I'll just ask you, I mean, who is, some guys that might have surprised you or some guys that you kind of expected this, kind of like to take that next step? What have you liked so far?
Yeah, so obviously we're diving in with the 2 early NBA predictions or the NBA talk here, but I think it's interesting just to see, who comes out at the gate hot. And I do think some of the guys that definitely stand out would be Ja Morant. He's averaging like 35 and 10 assists or something like that right now. He probably won't be to keep that up, but probably won't be too far off from there. I easily could see him creeping into the mid upper 20s, and somewhere around hovering around that 10 assist mark as well. So he's a beast. I've been high on him since I randomly watched him play one day, and he put up like 15 and 15 or something like that in college, like 2 or 3 years back, or 4 years back now at this point. So he's a phenomenal player. And then last should just be the old school guy, and that'd be one of the vets, I should say, and that'd be Steph Curry, and just what the Warriors are doing in general. They're rolling, sitting at 4-0.
Yeah,
he's had some great performances, great performance at least. And they're doing that without a couple key pieces in Clay and Wiseman. So
they'll mess around getting that third seed. Watch.
And I was just gonna say, if they can keep this up to some degree and stay in the upper half of that Western Conference until Clay comes back and just give that steroid boost to the team, and then when Wiseman come back, another boost to the team, and they really might be a tough team, a tough out in the playoffs, because they're going to be a completely different team than what they are record shows, even if they keep up pretty high level. So it's going to be interesting. But those are some of the early standouts for me. How about yourself, man?
Yeah, I agree with those. I think the Warriors, if Clay is even 90% of what he used to be, 80%, you can just hit the, spot up shoot like he does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're gonna end up being right back where they were.
Yeah,
right now.
Wiseman like an 18 or probably about 20-year-old now.
And Wiseman, he's like what they've been missing.
Yeah.
Like the inside presence that can score, defend, rebound. Like they kind of be having these guys. Draymond played a 5 sometimes. They got a couple guys that aren't. They're just kind of like decent role players.
They had Looney out there looking like a beast for a couple of seasons. He was he was good for a while. So you put a good young kid in there with a lot of potential. I think I don't know. I just like what they're put together.
And, yeah. I say some of my surprises. I think Miles Bridges, he's off to a pretty nice start. I think he put up like 30 a couple times already. I love the Ball brothers. It's kind of cool seeing them. Lonzo, I think this is like he finally found that fit. I didn't like when he was in New Orleans, but obviously he didn't have a choice but to get traded there. Yeah. Zion just wasn't like available enough for him to be what he really wanted to be.
LeBron.
Yeah. It happens. But I love that. I like the Bulls team. Like, they got the guys built for like what kind of player he is. They get the boards. Just getting rid of gun and go. I mean, they played the Pelicans last week. He had triple-double against them. And, like, his 10th assist was really like a lob to Caruso, just like, they were about like 20. Like, it was just, they really got something going right now. Levine just got hurt, but he's going to try to play through it. But it's like they're 4-0 already. I mean, LaMelo, if he didn't get hurt last year, they would have been that. They still made the play, and it probably would have been like the 7th seed or the 6th seed if LaMelo didn't get hurt last year.
Right.
He missed like 3-4 weeks, like a broken hand or something. But I think, he's the one that's been benefiting the most from him has been Miles. Miles, he's run the floor, getting a lot of fast breaks, easy dunks. He's definitely molded his game a lot better to where, he can, hit the three now. He's got more of an arsenal, more of like a package, as they call it. Be able to kind of do a little bit more with the ball on the offensive side. And 1-2, I've seen Tyler Hero start to kind of, come. We're seeing what we saw in the playoffs when he was a rookie. Last year he kind of struggled. But, just seeing, they got all them guys. They got Lowry. They got all these other guys that showed up. And I feel like everybody kind of forgot about him. He's like – he could definitely be in the running for, 6th man of the year. He's been averaging, 15, 20 a game. So, good ball being played overall, though.
Yeah, 100%. Now, I just wanted to touch on Miles Bridges. I think he is a point guard a point guard. He's a point guard best friend, especially if you are a guy that like to push the ball and likes to run and gun.
Flasher,
a little flashy highlight reel. He's a point guard like that's best friend, and I think, like you said, him taking the time to develop more of a well-rounded offensive game and get that 3 in. I think he's averaging somewhere in the upper 20s right now as far as points. That probably won't happen, but if he could definitely settle into the upper teens and in that type of role, and he's phenomenal player. He developed under Tom Izzo, so he can play that team ball and do what it takes to win. So I think they definitely have an interesting thing rolling there, and so
his first 5 games, 20, 25, 32, 30, and then 13. He's having 25 a game right now. I think it's a contract year. I think that's might be what it is.
Oh, that's what it is.
It's
32.
I think it is. I feel like he's been in the league for Since 2018. It's a
And go get you average somewhere in the teens and go get a dunk contest, champ. You'll
yeah.
Next one.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I like what he's been doing a lot. Rebounding the ball. I mean, he stay around 20. He'll get him a little. They might throw him a little. He won't get a max, but he'll get like one of them 4-year like 120.
Yeah.
130.
Hey, just to keep. I'm sure he'll take it.
You give me that, I'll be.
Yeah. 100%.
You play 4 more years, go start rapping.
Facts. But no, just and kind of talk about some of the down. Both our teams that we kind of predicted or rolling with, I would say, aren't doing the hottest.
No.
Nets been drama driven for much of the last 6 weeks, 2 months. So I would say even last year, really, when you consider a lot of stuff that happened. But
yeah.
So it's interesting to see their downfall, their demise to some degree right now. And then on the other side of the coast, you have the Lakers completely reloaded and just them kind of their growing pains with that unit.
Yeah.
So, I'm not sure who you want to touch on first, but both of them kind of look like a shit show. So
I'll chat about both. We'll start off with the Nets. I mean, I think it's kind of surprising. That is obviously a huge distraction. And we can get on that. I mean, that's there's a lot going on there, a lot to unpack there. I am kind of surprised as to how James Harden hasn't been playing that great. I mean, this is kind of like what I expect his numbers to look like if it was him, Kyrie, and KD all together. There's always that one guy that kind of ends up. Kyrie kind of grabbed him as the point guard, last year, and he was the one that kind of took a step back in the points and everything and started distributing the ball more. But he's just not being very assertive. Those rules are definitely messing with his head a little bit. I mean, I like Harden. I think he's definitely one of the best scorers I've ever seen. But it's kind of funny because he's been averaging 17 a game, not getting to the line as much. And usually he's averaging 30 a game. He gets to the line 12, 13 times a game. So it's really that's literally just a good chunk of his, his points right there. That's just kind of be taken away. So that, and you can just tell he's not. I don't know.
To be 100% honest, he is a phenomenal player, but that game was always sloppy to me, and I never it was none worse than watching him go to the line 25 times or 22 times. It would be a game where it would be the oddest shit. I'd watch him play. He had 45 points. He would go to the line 20 times, and then he'd be 6 of 20 from three. And I'm this is the craziest stat line. You know what I mean? So, I do think all that's kind of taking a toll on him. And then, like you said earlier, I'm not sure if you said this, but he might not be in the greatest shape in this point of the season yet. So, I think all that could be a factor.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just feel I'm glad the NBA is kind of taking away some of them foul calls because all he would do is throw his body into people, literally just throw his body into people and they would just call it. He would put his arms under somebody else's arm. He would insert himself into their space that they had the right to have when they're defending, and then the refs are just rewarding him. And yeah, it's crazy though. Them step backs, kicking his leg out, pump faking, trying to draw contact, lean forward, all that. It's a wrap. So it's gonna be interesting to see how he's able to adjust. And then I think KD's still getting ramped up. He played in the Olympics. Obviously getting up there in age a little bit. I think he's definitely doing his thing. But I'm kind of surprised. I feel he hasn't been all that assertive either. But it is early. So a lot of these guys just kind of saving their legs. I get it. I don't know. Part of me felt I kind of expected him to just kind of take the lead and be all right, we ain't got Kyrie. I'm gonna just make it to where we gonna pop up and be 3-1, 4-0. So everybody stops talking about that. But it's been more of just it's kind of lackadaisical, just kind of out there going through the motions.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. I think I said something very similar to why I picked the Nets to win the East. As I said, I thought KD would just want to go out there and put, just make a statement year. He was playing at such a high level, such a phenomenal level throughout the playoffs. And We literally, like, if he had a half a size shoe smaller, the entire conversation of this summer and what happened to Giannis and all that stuff would be different. And, so I kind of thought that, and like you said, and like we talked about before in the Olympics, I thought all that rolling into this season, he would just be full throttle. And that hasn't exactly, happened yet. So that is a little interesting to me. But, who knows what they know behind the scenes, or who knows what they got cooking, or, maybe it's a worse situation than we really know. And all this shit might get blown up soon. You never really know. But it
could
is
be toxic, yeah.
Yeah.
And, Steve Nash, like, he shouldn't even been there in the first place.
No,
that's the problem. They played just like the Phoenix Suns did when he was there, winning them MVPs that I don't think he personally should have won, because he got a couple over some people that I'm like, they had way better years than he did.
Kobe. He got over Kobe when he averaged like 34. But
yeah, I think he got over like Shaq one year that was around maybe not Shaq. I think Shaq might have already been in Miami, but Kobe definitely, that was 1 year. I feel like LeBron and that, that was like his like early prime. So I'm sure he definitely got snubbed in a couple. But yeah, you'd be right though. I mean, I just feel like Steve Nash, I never thought he was the guy. I think they don't play no defense, like hardly a lick of defense. I mean, I just feel like the lane is be open. Harden, we already know what he does. KD never been he'll defend, but he ain't never been no lockdown, you know what I'm saying? Just like sit down on you and just really give you a hard time. Yeah, we'll see though. We'll go ahead and shift gears here, talk about the Lakers. That was my favorite come out the West. We talked earlier with the season preview. To be honest, I just don't really like their team. I don't like how it's built. To me, it just got like I wanted Buddy Hield over Russ, first of all. I just think it would have made more sense, but I understand where LeBron was coming from, not really trying to like teach the game of basketball. But I like Buddy Hield. People don't really know. I mean, he's got like almost as many games with like 5 or more threes as like Steph does. I mean, I think it's like 10, 12 game difference. He's been in Sacramento for a while now, just averaging like 15, 20 a game off the bench. I think he would have been like literally just like that piece, like him, a couple other guys that could have brought in. It's like, but now it's like, they got this, Russell Westbrook's like, he's got the biggest contract on the team, and they had to go get guys like Ariza. I love the Melo one. I think that'll definitely pay off deep into the playoffs and like just throughout the season. But I didn't love like Ariza. Bazemore can just literally like they need to just get him off the team altogether. Like he's horrible. I'm not crazy about Kendrick Nunn. I don't really see a spot for him. If you got Russ, as the starting point guard, you got Rondo, coming off the bench. Like, I mean, is he gonna kind of be the one that comes in after Russ? Just a lot of like, I mean, even like I like Dwight Howard, but like I don't know. He just kind of even been lately just kind of more of just out there, like not really playing the best basketball. And it's early, I personally think that they end up being like 25-20 during around the All-Star break, and they're like the 5th or 6th seed. I think LeBron made that call to Pelinka and be like, we got to get whoever up out of here. So-and-so from this team getting bought out. All right, let's go grab him and just – I mean, there's a couple guys on there that contract. I mean, they gave them like a couple mil or something like that here and there. They might have to put them into a little package with some picks and just kind of ship them off to get a little bit more of a team that can they can gel together. Right now, you literally have like the 2014 like East All Stars.
Do you think it's I guess like a couple part question? Do you think it's a gelling issue overall, or just so far? Like, keep in mind, like the Miami Heat started out shitty. Like the Cavs, when they first got put together, started out kind of rough. I feel like like when you first put together some teams, it's a little rough. So you think it's a short-term thing or just the structural, how they're built?
I'm definitely getting like it's structure.
Real quick, I think if we just easily could be having a different conversation if they were like 3-0 or whatever. And I'm not saying that would mean any more or less than what this means. It's kind of like.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I think it's a structure. I just don't think this team works. Like this team, remember when he went back this last year in Cleveland, he had like Wade, like Isaiah Thomas. Yeah. Like you just get Derrick Rose was on that team. I don't think people like remember that. Like he ended up getting traded. He ended up just getting them all shipped up and traded. I just don't think like you just got these guys that are kind of, I don't know, like Jordan on his last leg. The only difference between like them teams back then when they was kind of struggling and now, like Bron, like he old. So like,
yeah,
you know, I don't think it's just tougher for he already out with, you know, ankle injury. So he can't really be in there just like trying to make it happen. You know, now it's kind of like, you know, they that's kind of like what they said they brought Russ here for was to, you know, kind of shoulder the load when Bron needed to sit out. But like what I be thinking about is like, all right, but like with this mid-April, you know, seating on the line, like obviously we know it's super early, but I just personally don't see like you got all these ball handlers, not even that much shooting. AD can't stay off the floor. Like there's just a lot of moving parts that I just don't think will really end up being there come like around a trade deadline.
yeah. No, I agree. I think I showed a little doubt on them when they put it together. Just how I thought Russ would have to be the guy with the ball, and LeBron would have to change the way he played, and AD, like everybody would have to buy into Russ as the guy.
Yeah,
that's gonna make this happen. For you know what I mean, even though you know what I mean, it wouldn't be the Brown. It would still be the Browns team, but we got to buy into his way to play in order to make it work. And I just didn't think it would, but I still think it's very early, and I think they'll have enough. They have enough talent and skill just to kind of put together, obviously, a playoff unit in a playoff run. I think, but as far as deep playoff runs, I just don't know if the team has it, and I think that kind of. I'll be honest, I kind of think that for the Nets as well at this point. I think, you know, it's just rough, and maybe we take for granted just how great those players are, and we will be looking crazy a couple months because they'll find a way to put it all together, or maybe we, you know, take for granted how good they are in the other way around. So, you know, it's just kind of interesting. It's interesting when the superstars don't make it work early.
Yeah. So I think the only way it's gonna have to work is like, and Bron already been trying to do it like night one, like for opening night, he had like 34, and he played like pretty much off the ball. He was just really playing as like the aggressor, like he was playing like a wing, you know, just not the point guard. And I think Russ could help AD. Like I don't think he can do anything but help AD just with like throwing lobs and just like pick and roll, like, you know, stuff like that. It definitely has potential. I feel like they'll all kind of sit down and be like, all right, like, this is what we just need to do. And I think it's just tough, man, because, I mean, LeBron, I think he's the best, like, ball handler, decision maker on that team by far. But, like, Russ is just, like, kind of like, he just be like the engine, you know what I'm saying, that just really, really, like, can make them go. It's just going to be interesting how that unfolds because, I don't know, LeBron has always just kind of been like a pass-first guy that can just really be – that's like obviously a huge scoring threat. So he might have to start kind of tapping in and just, you know, being more aggressive, you know, on the offensive side from a scoring perspective instead of from a, you know, distribute, you know, just like trying to distribute the ball. And then I think as far as the Nets, like I just think KD and Harden's got to get more aggressive. Like I think it's kind of like I do think that stuff with Kyrie is just kind of hanging on her shoulders, which rightfully so it should. I mean, you know, that's definitely having a direct impact on like what they're trying to do. You know, right now. But I think it's like Harden's going to have to kind of flip that switch and start to adapt and really get rolling because it is early. We've said that a dozen times, but like, you know, you look up at, you know, January around the corner, February, you know what I'm saying, where it's really like you got a lot of these teams around you. Like, I mean, the East got the Bulls, Knicks, Bucks, Heat, Hawks, and then, Lakers. I mean, Utah looked good last night. We got teams like Memphis starting to kind of just take off. You know what I mean? Like, there's just a lot of, like –
yeah, Warriors trying to revamp it.
Yeah, like it could definitely get, you know –
lost.
I feel like they're already kind of behind some teams, you know. And obviously, things kind of start to work themselves out. But as everybody's starting to kind of gel, these guys are all back here kind of like fighting each other, you know, to like make it work. So we'll see, though.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah. Anything else for the people?
No, sir. I'm all good. You know,
Okay.
we're going to drop this tomorrow. Big game weekend. Go Blue.
Go Blue. Absolutely. Until next time.